And hello, everyone listening and watching today. It is Good Body, Good Brain podcast. And today I'm very, very happy to have a most wondrous person with me. Her name is Marian Egan. And you're going to be delighted to hear what she has to say because I think it comes from some other place than just Earth. So I'm excited to get into it. And the first thing I'm going to ask Ms. Marian is to tell us where she is living right now. Where are we recording from?
Oh, so Sally, I'm living in Ireland. I was born here, and this is my hometown. So I live just outside the capital of, outside Dublin City, which I was born in Dublin. And over 40 years ago, we moved out to the country. So this is where I am right now, just in County
Wonderful.
Kildare.
We might be cousins because all my people on one side are from Ireland.
Oh, there you go. You never know.
What's your maiden name?
My maiden name is Kane, Kane.
Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, you've been traveling. You've been to San Diego. You've been, feel like you've sort of been around the universe, the world. And sometimes the world sends you messages. And for years, I've been getting messages that are numbers.
Ah, okay.
And the numbers I get are 333. It started when I was in my early 20s. I didn't know what they were. It kind of bothered me. I thought, oh, heck, if the flight is 333, should I stay away from it or should I get on it? So I really didn't know. And it's only been in the last probably 10 years that I've accepted that they are actually little messages that maybe I'm doing the right thing at the right time. And they appear everywhere.
Yeah, and you know the saying, everything comes in threes.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard that, yeah? Everything comes in threes. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yes. So I know that you have the most wondrous card deck that you have created from your own artistic endeavors. So can you tell us a little bit about how that card deck came to be given to you? I'm going to say it was given to you.
Yeah.
Because I believe it was.
Yeah. Well, it started, if I go back to during COVID, my poor 95-year-old mom got COVID and pneumonia at the same time. And now she was already on oxygen 24/7. And the doctor just said, this is really serious. This is not good. And then to add to that dilemma, Sally, my daughter informed me of her cancer diagnosis. And when I say I was floored, I literally was floored, gutted, whatever. If somebody had physically attacked me, it wouldn't have hurt as much as this hurt, because I couldn't go to either of them. Travel restrictions were in place. And so Jenny wanted me to be her mom, not her therapist. And I've been a holistic practitioner for 30 plus years. So I decided, okay, the best thing I can do is do my healing painting for Mom and Jenny. I'm the founder of Heart Art Magic, which I brought into my practice many years ago. It's painting from the subconscious. When I start painting, I have no idea of what's going to come through. The painting just comes through me. In fact, I film myself painting because I like to look back and see, where did I start? Because how did I end up with this painting? So every week I did a painting for Jenny and for Mom. And then I got the inspiration that I was to bring these painted images and create a card deck. And I'm saying, oh my goodness, how do you create a card deck? I hadn't got a clue, but I found out how to do it. And then I've been working with frequency numbers for many years. And then I said to myself, okay, each image has a frequency. So I created the frequency number for each image. And then I made a positive message to go with the image. And that became my card deck. And then I said to myself, well, how do they work? I didn't know how they worked. So I wrote a client. And the interesting thing was that Jenny and Mom got well, which was so fantastic.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, wonderful. Thanks for that.
Oh, absolutely. But they have their conventional treatments as well. But
Mhm.
so I rang a client and I said, look, this is what I've created. I want to know how they work. Will you work with me? And I'll test them out and see how they work. And this lady
Mhm.
had back pain, and it was a 7 out of 10, if 10 was the worst scenario. And after
Mhm.
doing the first, second, and third card, her back pain just totally went away. And she was so delighted. She actually bent over and touched her toes. Now, she could touch her toes beforehand, but she was saying,
But it
I
hurt.
can't believe, yet without it hurting. So I rang the next client and I started recording these Zoom sessions then because I wanted to see, well, how is this working? So hip pain, neck pain, back pain, foot pain, all went away. Stress, anxiety was relieved. And it's just so amazing. And so that's what happened with my card deck. That's how it was born. But I'm so grateful
Can
that
you
I followed through on the
can
inspiration.
you Yeah, oh, yes, can you hold one up so we can see how beautiful they are?
Yeah, this is one now. This is called Monarch
Oh,
Mindset. Okay.
oh, how
And
beautiful.
and on the back it has the message, the name of the
Yes, and the
image and
frequency.
frequency number. Yeah.
Oh, I
And
love
that's
those. I
yeah.
love those. And to find a publisher that would really, really capture the vividness of your painting.
Yeah. And it's been a massive journey. I mean, they can be traditional paintings, or this is one of my highlights. This is called Unlock Your Block. And
Mhm,
again, when I look back on how I painted that, it's just amazing how the images they just come through, and I go with that flow.
mhm. Well,
Yeah.
you had to do probably some preparation to receive those images because most people don't even notice. I call them angel whispers. They come by and they go, shh. But if you're not
Yeah.
open to it or receive it, they go, whoop, they're gone.
Well, the first thing I needed to do was before I started painting, I sit down and I set the intention. So my intention was for Mummy and Jen to get well. And I'd set the intention. I would meditate for the length of time it took for me to feel the connection. And then I'd just go
Mhm.
paint. And as I said, I'd set the camera up so that I would uh, be able to look back. And all my paintings are on my YouTube channel. Well, not all of them, but the majority are on YouTube. Because it's great, even for me, I'd often look back and review and just go through, what was going on at the time and how it helped. And I'm just so grateful for the help that I received. As you say, it was
Yes.
downloaded, and I took the download and brought it into a physical product.
Yes, and you use it like in your readings because when we worked together, I was going through several challenges in my life, one physical, one emotional.
Yes.
And we did the reading. I immediately felt lighter. And
Hmm.
part of your gift is the gift of the frequency of the cards that are up here. And that frequency actually imparts like ongoing healing. And as instructed, I put my frequencies on this little piece of paper and it goes next to my skin. So it helps me to have the frequencies right there. And for
Yeah.
those who are listening who think, oh my gosh, this is so woo woo, I couldn't possibly believe this could happen. I can tell you that I'm a nerd, I'm a neuroscientist. And yes, I love science. I'm very, very data driven. And you can actually track what happens to people based on what they tell you their pain levels are and how it goes along as they continue working with you. And it is just marvelous how much relief they get. And to me, um, the sort of the proof is in the pudding. I don't know if that's a Irish thing too.
It is.
So
Yeah, it is.
when we put the proof together and we make pudding and it gels correctly and it tastes good, I say
Yeah.
thank you for receiving this and being able to transmit it to us into the physical presence.
And it works. That's the amazing thing. And what I did, Sally, then was I I rang these people that I worked with initially, like months later, and their pain was still gone. It wasn't just gone for the few minutes. It was actually,
Mhm.
it was a healing process, you know.
Mhm.
And of late, a few months ago, I was looking at Dr. Joe Dispenza. You know how
Yes.
amazing he is,
Yes.
and he has the
Yes.
research, and he does the research, and he proves,
Mhm.
you know, what he proves. But it
Mhm.
just made me realize that the frequency numbers, it, as Dr. Joe says, when we're in the fight flight mode, beta
Mhm.
frequency, that's when
Mhm.
pain can run its circuit, and it keeps running the circuit. And what my
Mhm.
cards do is it stops the cortisol hormone running, and it
Mhm.
starts dopamine, serotonin, melatonin, oxycontin hormone, which are the
Yes.
healing hormones, right?
Uh-huh.
And even this morning, I did it on a lady who was quite unwell, and you know, instantly she could feel the difference. And it's just wonderful to be able to facilitate and help somebody to stop the pain circuit running and start the healing
Mhm.
hormones, because the body has an innate intelligence to heal itself. It knows what
Mhm.
to do. Like when you cut your
Oh,
finger,
yes.
you can't even see it because it's healed up. It knows what to do. But when your cortisol hormone is running, it's not that easy. So I
Mhm.
feel like cards are a shortcut to stop the cortisol and start the healing, like the alpha, theta, delta, gamma frequency come in
Yes.
and let the healing happen, you know. And it's wonderful to see it. I'm just so
Yes.
grateful.
Yes. And you have tapped into, I'll get a little wonky here. You've tapped into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is rest and digest, which is
Uh,
the counterpoint to fight, flight, freeze. So all
yes,
those hormones that you named, the oxytocin is what is produced when you have a child, and it's the bonding, and it also happens when you have sex, and then you bond to your partner.
all right.
That's why I encourage couples to either cuddle or have sex or enjoy each other so that that hormone is released. And so we have sort of like a built in extra filter of forgiveness when we do
Yeah,
stupid things.
yeah, yeah. It's like the body is such an amazing, isn't it? It's so amazing, but when you know how to go with that flow, it's even more
Mhm.
amazing because you can make things happen, you know? And, you know, as you were
Yes.
saying
And
about,
I,
yeah, like a
yes,
newborn
yeah,
baby, I mean, it's just, I feel there's no words to express what holding a
mhm.
newborn baby feels like the, having that new life in your hand and feeling those emotions of love and, oh, it's just an amazing gift to be able to give life
And
like that.
you painted that image so beautifully. And I use that image with my clients because they think they are their job. They think they are their role. They think they've got a bunch of labels plastered all over themselves, but they're not really about their own self worth. So I say to them, when your mother was holding you as a baby and she was looking at you and she was so amazed at your little toes and your little fingers and your little face, she didn't say, "Hey, you can't do very much now. What are you good for?" Right? You
Yeah,
can't even walk. You can't even talk. What's the use of you? No, she just enjoyed you for your own inherent worth. And we're born with that. And
yeah,
later on, people say, "Oh, you're so special." And then they say, "Who do you think you are?" And it gets worse. And so we spend the next 20, 30 years trying to reverse it back to how we were when we were born.
yeah. And that's an amazing, you know, when you do that for yourself. I mean, many years ago, Sally, I was laid up many years ago. My family were taking care of me because I couldn't take care of myself. And what I did was I wrote this little five-liner poem, and I called it Forgiveness for Freedom. And it
Mhm.
goes like this: I forgive myself for all the times I did not like myself. I forgive myself for all the times I did not love myself. I forgive myself if I ever hurt anyone. I forgive anyone who has ever hurt me. I forgive myself and them for me to be free.
Love it. I love that. I hope
Yeah.
that you will write that out for me because I'd
Yeah.
love to put that on the show notes that we'll be having. It's a beautiful poem. It reminds me of Ho'oponopono, where you say these things like "I love you," "I forgive
Yeah.
you," um, and all those things. And you can say it out loud to just whoever wants to hear it. And your
Exactly.
heart hears it, your brain hears it, and
Yeah.
whatever our brain hears, it believes.
Exactly. And it's like instructing your subconscious to let go and release, because a
Yes,
lot of the time when we're running that cortisol, we're not in that forgiveness and that healing state, you know. And I always look at, does this heal or does this harm?
yes. If we're being chased by a dinosaur, it's,
Yeah,
let's have some cortisol so we can run faster and our heart will
exactly.
pump faster.
Yeah,
And, um, and we won't get hungry because we've taken all the blood out of our stomach and put it into our limbs. So is very useful if somebody's chasing us. But
yeah,
if we keep that state of hypervigilance all the time, it starts to ruin and actually cause a lot of damage to our cardiovascular system.
yeah. And that's what happened to me when I was 8 years old, Sally. You know, I watched my 3-year-old brother being fatally killed by a double-decker bus. And
Oh,
3 months
oh.
earlier, as I was playing with my best friend, he was also killed by a double-decker bus. Now, I took on the blame game at that stage. I blamed myself
Mhm,
for my mother's death, and I lived in that blame, shame, guilt, grief, regret.
mhm,
I lived in that for so long that by the age of 14, my appendix ruptured, and my mum just barely got me to the hospital in time for emergency
mhm,
surgery. So that's what happens to the body when you're living in that
mhm.
beta um, state. And it's not a good thing for anyone. And I think even somebody listening to this now, if they're in that blame game or the grief or the regret or, in that state, please just change and start liking and loving yourself, for yourself, by yourself. So important.
Yes, and as a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old or that age group,
Yeah.
we really believe what we tell ourselves and what other people tell us.
Yeah. Mm, yeah. Well,
And it,
and I think that really defined who I was or who I am today, because I just needed so much healing, Sally, that I started looking, how can I heal? And that's why
mhm,
I went down this road of complementary health, because
mhm.
I felt, I used to think that people could see how bad I felt. That's how bad I
You
felt.
had, you
Yeah.
you had it pretty well hidden though.
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah. But, it's not a nice place to be. And I'm so grateful now for the wisdom I have gained over the years with all the trainings that I've done and, all the practices that I now uh, am involved in. But I'm very grateful for how my art has brought this self-healing tool now into the world that was designed for 2 people, but now is helping more than hundreds. It's really
Yes,
just become a
and
self-healing tool.
now can an individual use the cards um and to help themselves heal, or do they
Yes.
need a facilitator?
Well, it's amazing how, as I say, set an intention. Every time you're going to choose a card,
Mhm,
set an intention for yourself. What is it you want? Don't think
mhm,
about what you don't want. It's the opposite of what you don't want. Whatever you don't want, then what's the opposite of that? Set an intention and then choose a card, look at the image, read the message, and tap in the frequency number, because tapping in the frequency number stops the cortisol running and starts the healing
mhm.
process. So yes,
For
individuals can use it. I
mhm.
am doing
For
a
people,
group
yeah.
session.
Oh, yes, yes. We want to hear about that, but
Yeah.
just for a second, because you said a word that people may not be familiar with, what tapping is.
Yes. Okay. So that with the frequency, what I get people to do is, with the frequency on the card, you read
Mhm,
the number, and as you read the number, like 878511131, You're just tapping the number into your body. And this interrupts and stops the cortisol running and starts the healing process. But you need to tap that in about 5 or 10 times per number. And then, as you said earlier, about wearing the numbers then keeps the frequency. When you wear it on the left side of your body, the frequency comes into your body on the left side. So it keeps the frequency running by wearing the number.
Yes. And there is a whole body of work about tapping.
Yes.
And people use it for so many different things. Forgiveness, increasing their self-esteem, letting go of people who have harmed them. It's so very, very useful. And some people, tap around here. There's all different ways to do that. And there's actually applications you can put on your phone that show you how to tap for whenever you need certain things.
Yeah. And these tapping points are, acupressure points that can be used, but I just use the one on the sternum here on the chest bone, or tapping into the pain point if there's pain in the hip or whatever, but just tapping onto your body will install the frequency and then it starts the healing process.
Now, I'm really sort of can visualize and feel how the art came. How did the frequency numbers come?
Well, I've been using frequencies in my practice for many years. I just didn't put the two together until I was faced with Jenny and Mom's position, and it was just when I was doing the paintings, I said to myself, everything has an image or a frequency. So if everything has a frequency, this image has a frequency. So then I created frequency for each image. I had, as I said, been using them in my practice for many years. And then I put 2 and 2 together and came up with, let's have a frequency for this. Not knowing how it was.
Yes, they say, let's do this to elevate our frequency, meaning that when we're down in the dumps, so to speak, frequencies may be on a lower level so that we can't receive something coming from a higher level.
Yes, that's
and
true.
It sets up sort of a resistance. When people say things like, oh, I can't do that, I said, well, you just told your brain you couldn't.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say, I haven't learned how to do this yet, but I will in the future.
Exactly.
It's a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, it's a new concept and it's opening a new door to freedom, because once you change your thoughts, you change your energy, and then tapping the number in elevates you from that lower frequency to a higher vibrational level. And that's when you can feel better, you think better, you do better.
Yes. And for I guess probably the last year, I've sort of been walking out on what happens to our guts. And, we've always had that sort of like, oh, I got a gut feeling about this. My gut tells me this isn't the right place, the right time, the right person. We get so much information from our internal gut. And that's mainly because about half of our neurotransmitters are made there. And the gut talks to the brain. The brain sends messages back and forth. And it's a whole system that we're just now discovering. And there's lots more to discover, lots more.
Yeah, and what I discovered is, that your thoughts emit an electrical energy or frequency or circuit or signal, and your feelings emit a magnetic signal. So then, hence the electromagnetic signal. And as you were saying, that gut feeling, if your gut is telling you to do, then follow your gut, because your gut knows best. It's, as you say, it's an inbuilt mechanism that we have. And when you trust your gut, you can't go wrong, And the other thing what people don't really understand, and it took me a while to understand, your subconscious will never lie to you. Your subconscious is there to protect and keep you safe. And that's why we have the fight-flight mechanism is instilled, because it's an automatic mode. But your subconscious will never lie to you. So trust your gut, because that's your subconscious telling you this is good or this is not good. So whatever feels right then is right.
Yes. And lots of times people get mixed up, like if they're with a partner that's very manipulative, um, especially if they have any narcissistic tendencies, or they do this thing called gaslighting, where they invalidate everything the person thinks, feels, or does. And it's sort of like being brainwashed.
Right.
And it happens a lot to women. And they're, if I look back far enough, there'll be somebody in their past they're trying to do a healing with.
Okay.
So they pick a partner to try to do a healing with.
Right.
And so I tell them, you don't need this person to do your healing with, because you can do this on your own.
Yeah.
Because it becomes so detrimental.
Yeah, and that's an important factor of that too. Is the only person that can blame you is you, right? Because and how you think about yourself. So what you think about, you bring about. So it's important to make sure your thinking is on the right path for you. Because if you're thinking that's such a bad idea, then it is. As you said earlier, oh, I can't do that. Well, then you're right, you can't, because you've just said you can't. But you can change your thought pattern, you can change your wording. And in changing how you think, you'll change how you feel. So that again, you can elevate from a lower frequency to a higher frequency, higher vibrational level, just by changing your thinking.
And I also tell people, whatever you resist will persist. So if you've got a lot of push energy to something, that push energy just brings it closer.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, that thinking sends out the signal and the feeling comes back. It magnifies back to you what you're thinking. So change your thinking and you change your outcome, which is really, it's taken many, many years for me to realize, but I'm so grateful. And what you were saying too about, I'm very blessed insofar as hubby and I have celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary this year.
Oh, wonderful.
Earlier this year. So, he's my best pal and it's wonderful. We support each other in every way. And it's all about, for me, it's about giving. The more you give, the more you receive, so that's what we do, is we give a lot. And I definitely would not have been able to do what I do now if I didn't have his support, so he works in the background and he supports me in every way, which is wonderful. It's great.
It's so wonderful to find that type of partner, because bioenergetically, when you feel supported in that way and they've sort of like got your back,
yes,
then you're free. You're free to do whatever you want to do. There's no constraints.
Yes, yeah.
I was on a podcast with Danella Burnett, and she has a couple of things she says to herself that sort of uplift her. And so she asked me, what are you saying to yourself now? And at this stage of the game, what I say to myself basically is, who cares? And it may sound a little like off, like, who cares? But really, it's like, I'm the one that has to care about what I do along with my creator. We're a team.
Yeah.
I can't be worried about, I'm having a bad hair day, or maybe I'm too old to do this, or maybe I'm not thin enough, or maybe I'm not rich enough, or all those kind of things that block us from thinking big.
Yeah.
Because we were born to think big and to receive and give abundance.
Yes.
And so I love being able to do good in order to do good.
Absolutely.
What we receive, if I tell people, if you're broke, give something away.
Yeah. Yeah.
I interviewed a marvelous person from Pakistan the other day. And, in Pakistan, there are many poor people who live on the streets.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And here was a mother with 3 children and a hubby who worked. And she was talking about how in Pakistan, you live with a father, then you're given away to the husband, then you have your children, and your life is pretty much created by these circumstances.
Right.
And she said, I decided there was something more. So she became a brand creator, a social media creator for LinkedIn. And
Yeah.
this year she won the greatest, I don't know how to measure it, for LinkedIn in Pakistan. A woman
Oh,
who decided to do
yeah.
this on her own. And she learned how to speak English listening to old movies.
Oh my goodness. Isn't
Yeah.
that wonderful?
I said, when she told me this, and I said, we've got to tell other women about this because this is marvelous. You
Mm-hmm.
just said, you've got to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
I said, absolutely. That is the message, to be able
Yeah.
to fly and expand and receive. So I'm with you about the receiving giving thing. It's just a constant, she would say, karma dharma wheel,
All
where
right.
she would be
Nice one.
giving. And her goal would be to make shelters for all the people that are homeless in their
Yes.
towns, so they have a
Mm-hmm.
place to go at night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if my saying is, if your body is not healthy, where are you going to live? It's all
True.
about fulfilling your needs first. And that's not to be
Mhm.
selfish, it's being self-full. Because when your
Mhm.
needs are met, then you have an overflow, and the overflow
Yes.
goes to those who are next to you,
Hmm.
because you can't give what you haven't got. You've got to fulfill your own needs first. And that was
Yeah.
one lesson I found served me when I was healing myself, was
Oh,
fulfilling
yes.
my
And
needs.
and as women, we're culturally programmed to give, 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 give,
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
and not be too big. Like, try to be just in the background. We don't want to show anybody up. We don't want to be self promoters. The guys are going, "Hey, look at me! Yay! I did this. I did that." And then we get these messages. No, we shouldn't do that as women.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why we can't. We have messages. We have impacts that are so important in the world
Mm-hmm.
that the world needs to hear them. And that's one of the reasons why you're here today.
Well, thank you. And it's wonderful to be able to share, because I feel very grateful and very honored to have been given this gift of healing that I can now share with the world. And what's really wonderful is, like, my decks are now in 19 countries, and I'm so grateful for that, because again, the message has got out there and people are using them, and it's making a difference. And that's one of my mission, is to make a difference in the world. And now this is helping me to do that even more so.
And you don't know what's coming next.
That's true. That's true.
The deck may just be the initial opening to other things.
Yeah,
We don't know.
we don't know. Mm-hmm.
We don't know. And I love that feeling of anticipation.
Yeah,
When you know something really, really good is just around the corner and you're waiting for the first little glimpse of it.
yeah. It's a wonderful, wonderful feeling. And what I love, Sally, is when somebody gets in touch and they tell me the healing that's happened for them because of how they've used the cards for themselves,
Mhm.
your own included. It's just amazing. And I just am so, so grateful for that.
Well, you certainly have let your story define you when you were little. Now you've stepped into another story. And so sometimes I ask people, are you willing to step out of this story? Because whatever we tell ourselves is what our truth is.
Mm-hmm.
And when we tell ourselves a different story, our brain starts to seek ways to make that be true in the physical life.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty darn amazing.
Absolutely. Well, I do know that, because of my story, it has brought me to where I am today.